On this episode, hubris. Hey everybody, this is the Quarter Show. We're talking about hubris, which is, I have the definition here, hubris, excessive pride or self-confidence. Now, Jim Collins, and I don't know what book it is, I think it's possibly Good to Great. He talks about hubris, in fact, in that book, and it's a great book, like Good to Great or one of those ones. You take a look at it anyway. I forget which one. I actually read them all, so he's got 4 or 5 of them. But he talks about hubris, and he talks about companies that suffer from hubris. And at first, when I heard that concept, I thought, God, is that true? And then I looked at the word and looked at the whole thing, and I'm of the frame of mind where it's very, very true. It's a dangerous thing is to suffer from being cocky or being overly confident, and so much so that you don't be scrappy and you don't fight for the wins in the right different areas, and you assume this is going to come together. You assume the win here. You assume too much, and it's dangerous. You want to keep an underdog mentality, and you want to fight for every single win that you can, and you almost have to assume that you're behind and that everything is actually against you. And from that, there's a certain level of productive paranoia, which is another term that Jim talks about, in fact, productive paranoia, where it has that phenomenon on you. I know that sounds bad, like paranoia, but it has that phenomenon on you where you're that underdog, and you're scrappy, and you're outworking and overworking, perhaps overshooting what you probably should do. And that's a very good thing when it comes to winning. Mm-hmm. And when you tie it into a business as an entrepreneur or in sales or whatever, you see people, sometimes they think they have the sale, or they have that deal, or they're not doing everything. They're not outworking the deal to do everything to move things in their favor and win the sale, and they coast, and to some degree they suffer from hubris. And it's the same thing when you see a salesperson have a huge week or a huge month or a huge quarter, and the almost guaranteed their immediate next action is they coast. They sort of coast. There's this almost theoretical phenomenon of them, not theoretical, but I guess metaphorical phenomena of them sticking their feet up on the desk. And it's to some degree, like you kind of look at this person, you take a snapshot, and you realize like they just had this huge thing, and then they just coast, and that's a mistake. That's a big mistake, and I think that you can look at companies, you can look at political campaigns, you can look at these different things, and I chalk a lot of these failures up to hubris. People assume too much. They assume they're going to win. And on top of that, it's very important to pay attention to who and what you listen to, which helps feed the hubris. People around you, or statistics or other things sometimes that deceive you, and you listen to them, and you don't stay objective about things, and you're like, oh yeah, and you look at it, even if you're in company, for gosh sakes, this can happen in a company. You can do really well, and you get this award, and you get this and that, and you got all these different things, and then people start telling you you're great. The danger is listening to them and believing it. And then you kind of, oh yeah, well, you're great, and you lose that scrappy nature and that outworking nature and that hustle, and next thing you know, you're not great, and it's the same thing in sales. Like, wow, you're incredible, top salesperson, you're incredible, you do that, how do you do this, all these different things, and it starts going in your head, and then you suffer from hubris, and then you crash and burn, right? And I'm sure all of you have experienced this, but it's an incredibly dangerous phenomena. I would encourage you to stay the hell away from it, and stay scrappy, outwork every single scenario, constantly be looking at how to win, where to win, and keep a level of productive paranoia where you feel like you're behind. It's okay, even if you're ahead. I don't even know what ahead or behind is, but for me, I can tell you from my personal experience, my personal life, I wrote a blog about this on LinkedIn, I always feel behind. Behind of what? I don't know exactly. I'm behind. no matter how far ahead we get, I feel behind. And it motivates me intensely.
I know for me, I have sometimes newer salespeople here at Richter or whatever will be like, I'll have some couple few deals that I'm closing in. Someone will be like, do you think that one's going to close? Do you think this one's going to close? Like, is that almost done? And I'm like, I don't know. My answer is I don't know until I've got the credit card in hand, until I've got this in my hand,
The Chase
to the
Blue card.
finance person.
Yeah.
Well,
The blue Chase card.
Sapphire.
Oh, Sapphire.
Until I have that in my hand, I don't know. Until the card's running, the money's in, I don't know. Here's what I know. I know how to execute. I know how to go about my day. I know how to do the next step. I know how to go and help a prospect, get them and make them a client. But I've had too many crazy things happen and too many weird, like I should have this deal in, and suddenly it vanishes, right? And so for me, what I've noticed when I've observed other people having this feeling, this hubris, this excessive pride or self-confidence, it looks to me like it's an emotion, right? It's an emotion, it's a feeling. That's fine, have it if you want, but like it's totally unnecessary to your game. It doesn't help you accomplish. You think Barry Bonds, he goes up to the plate and he's hitting home runs, you think it's because he's confident. It's not really the same thing. He knows he has a game plan, he knows it so well, and he's physically in the right position, and he's going to go execute that game plan. And he can see it, he can picture it, and he's going to go after it. But I tell you what he's not doing. He's not swaggering up. He's not wearing extra gold chains because he's so BA about, he's not such a cool guy. Right? I mean, I like hip hop music, and there's a trap in hip hop music, though, for anybody who's familiar. Some people at the top of hip hop, they promote a lifestyle, how they're like doing so good and spending so much money, and it gives a person a feeling like, I want to be a magician in life like them. I want to make yachts appear. I want to make piles of money appear. It's that feeling you get where you go, I want to feel like I can make a client sign off. Like I can just I just wave my magic wand and people sign up. No. That's an illusion. And there might be a handful of people in the world that can live like that because there are no consequences to what they do. There's so much success that they've had for one reason or another that it doesn't matter what they do, they succeed.
But what you see behind the scenes,
leading up to that is a huge amount of execution.
What you see behind the scenes of any person like that, and any successful person, is unbelievable work ethic,
right?
Unbelievable outworking, unbelievable underdog nature to them. I was listening to a podcast with Sarah Blakely recently, the girl who came up with Spanx, and you see examples like this all over the place. And every single time, I'm always amazed that behind the scenes, the thing that I see is now that person can work. Now that person has work ethic. Now that person can hustle. What I always conclude behind the scenes, I'm like, wow, they're doing a lot, And those people don't suffer from hubris, And it's a plague. You want to stay away from this word. You want to be self-aware of hubris and continue, no matter where you're at, no matter how well you do, no matter how well the company does. Keep in mind, no company is too big to fail. We know that, right? We've seen some big ones go down. We've seen some little ones go down. We've seen some medium-sized ones go down. We've seen great salespeople crash and burn. We've seen great entrepreneurs crash and burn. It's not to scare people. My point is that nobody's too good to fail. Nobody's too big to fail. You have to keep your head game on, your work ethic in, your execution in, stay away from hubris, and keep fanning the flame and keep doing the things that are going to take you and get you there, and just hustle and outwork scenarios over and over and over. And the truth is, it never ends. It never ends. Sometimes people are like, well, to what point? To no point. To never, right?
Yeah.
Like to always. So
that's it.
It's a lifestyle, right? You don't. There's no. I'm going to work out until my body looks like this, and then I'm done.
Yeah, I don't have to work out anymore.
It's a life. It's a lifestyle thing. It's for the rest of your life. You know, your body's actually ebb and flow. You know, if you stop working out, 3 weeks from now, you see a difference. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way the body's rigged. You know, and life is the same way. Life, the game of life, the way this game is rigged is that it favors work ethic. It favors the underdog. It favors the outworker, the people that can work at that level and do it. And they somehow win. That's how you get wins. You have to keep going at that level. And that's a big part of the formula. And you could have worked at that level and been the underdog and got the win. And then there's this little trap of hubris that comes in, and it's meant to trick you, trip you, have you fall over, have you trip and stumble and go down, right? And some people bite on it. Some people go after it and go do it, and then they crumble. And so it's a trap, and it's often a trap when it's followed by something that's great happens, and then here comes the hubris, you know. And so it's one of those things that I would caution you to stay the heck away from. Don't listen to other people that are telling you you're great. Don't listen to other people that tell you it's in the bag. Keep good judgment on different things. Don't assume too much. Don't go into any situation. You know, back in the day, we played competitive hockey, and you know, when you went in thinking, "Oh, we're going to crush these guys," you always lost. You always lost. If you go in, "We're going to crush these guys," you lost. It was like you have to go with the viewpoint that we have to win this. We have to win this. We have to devastate them. Even if you know you're better than them, you have to go in with a viewpoint like we're going to fight this one like we fight any one of them. You know, and so I want to point that out. I think that's a very, very, very key point. The word hubris. Look it up for yourself, and be self-aware of that point. Keep it in your culture. Don't let other people do it. Don't do it yourself. This applies to any entrepreneur. This applies to sales. I've seen it many times. I've seen it trip people up, and you know, it's a dangerous one. So anyway, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and hit the like button, and of course share it on social. And if you have any other questions or anything, comments, you know, feel free to leave them on the channel below. Okay, thanks.